Introducing the brand new FlatCUT oscillating blade cutter from am.co.za. Unlike traditional machines, this guy is quite unique because it comes with a blade cutter. And the way this works is quite simple. If you're trying to work out if this machine is right for you, think about it like this. If you can cut it with a Stanley knife, the likelihood is you can use the oscillating knife cutter to precision CNC cut variety of different materials. So what materials can you cut? Well, let's take a look. And the basic rule is if you can cut it with something like a Stanley knife, the likelihood is you can use this machine to CNC cut out parts like this. Okay, so let's talk about the things that we can cut and the things we can't cut. One, we've kind of identified that if you're using a Stanley knife, if you can cut through the material, you know that you're going to be able to cut through using the oscillating knife. However, there are some fabrics that are going to possibly not be ideal for the oscillating knife cutter. Let's go and have a look at some of these things that we can cut. All right, so we already know that we can cut things like cardboard. In this case, we have actually gone a little bit further and we have used some of the functionality behind the CCD camera, which allows us to do some pretty cool things that you might be familiar with when it comes to using a camera-based system in order to mark up and cut things out specifically on vinyl cutters. We can do this on this machine. So from cardboard, we know that we can do this. This is pretty easy for this type of machine. Let's go and have a look at some more materials. Now, when it comes to fabrics, the oscillating knife cutter is really good at cutting a wide variety of materials. However, some materials that are very, very porous, these can be a little bit tricky because while this is easy work for the knife itself, sometimes holding this material down can be a bit tricky. So keep that in mind. Things like leathers is quite a stern material, not very porous. That is an excellent choice for cutting on this machine. But something like this, which is very lightweight and stretchy, unless you're sticking this down, it's going to present you with a couple of challenges, but definitely possible. Okay, now this is where the machine really starts to shine, is the fact that we can precisionally cut things like foam. Now, because this is a multi-purpose machine, one, we can use the actual oscillating blade to give us perfectly clean drawn edges, and we can use the CNC to actually clear that material out, providing you with the highest quality packaging possible. However, we are kind of limited to how deep we can cut. Let me go and show you exactly what I'm talking about on the oscillating blade cutter. Now, as you can see, I have fully retracted the little cover which covers the blades. Now, there's a limitation to what material that we can cut. On the oscillating blade cutter, there is a fabric which we are going to use to cut into. This is going to guarantee that we are cutting cleanly all the way through our material. However, when it comes to the thickness, there are a variety of different blades for different applications in order for you to cut through thicker material. And what you need to consider is that you not only need to have enough blade to cut through your material, but also cut into the actual fabric itself. This is going to ensure that we are going to get the quality of cut that we need. So keep that in mind. If your material is too thick, you will need to get an actual knife that is long enough to cut through. So lean over and get hold of someone at am.co.za and find out what is going to be the right blade for your application. So let's talk about gantry clearance. I know a lot of people want to cut really thick materials. Not that it's impossible. However, there's a bit of a catch to this. As you can see, we have the oscillating knife. This, like the CNC head, has the ability to drop. However, when it comes to cutting really thick materials, we potentially are going to run into a bit of a problem. One, there are not really knives that extend to this exaggerated length. I doubt you've ever worn a 6,000 gram t-shirt, and I don't think one's going to exist just yet. So when it comes to the clearance of the machine, remember, not only can this unit drop, but we kind of limited not by the gantry itself, but more so the actual cutting knife length on that blade. So while we do have a lot of clearance height, because we do have the ability to mill with the CNC side of things, when it comes to cutting, our limitation is not so much the gantry, rather our working area with our blade that extends all the way down to the table. Another cool feature has to be the fact that we have this CCD camera system. Now, traditionally speaking, this could be quite a difficult thing to do, but we have the ability to print registration marks, and these registration marks allows the CCD system to exactly locate where our actual design has been orientated. Using the CCD camera, we can do some really cool stuff. By knowing the offset between these two units, both the CNC cutter as well as our oscillating knife blade, we can practically use the registration marks to predefine exactly where we need to cut out using our artwork. This means doing things like those fancy printed out condola ends that you will often find brands use in shop fronts has never been easier. So producing really complicated artwork and being able to cut it out, well, this is going to be the right machine for you because it kind of does both. So that pretty much sums things up with the FlatCUT oscillating blade cutter. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned as we start to break down a further comparison between the CNC functionality, between the FlatCUT oscillating blade cutter and an industrial CNC. You would like to find out which is going to be the right application for you? Well, stay tuned.
AI may eventually take over, but what's for certain is that smart machines are already operating all over the world right now. So stay ahead with am.co.za. For 11 years, they've been the leader in CNC and printing machines like CNC routers, large format printers, vinyl cutters, laser cutters, plasma cutters, DTF printers, and many more. Visit am.co.za showrooms in Sunny Rock, Joburg, and Montague Gardens, Cape Town, or WhatsApp hi to 060 600 6000 for more info. am.co.za, achievement matters.